All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing this word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today, dealing with a lesson, entitled Scribing for the Masteries, and what does that mean? And we know that comes from the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 24. As we're going to get into it, kind of go into depth of what it means to scribe, all right, for masteries, man. When you go to 1 Corinthians 9 and 24, it says, "Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that ye may obtain." Okay? So as we're, in this faith, we have to understand that it's a fight. It's every day, we're competing to win a prize, and we're competing against that old man, because only one can win, all right, the new man in Yahweh Shah or that old man. And the old man is always a competitor, all right, because we're in this world. See, this world is, this age was created, to continue to appease that old man. Okay, so as long as we're here in this flesh, it's a competition to outscribe that old man, And by default, if we're scribing towards Yahweh Shai, well, we begin to pull away from that old man. Okay? So that's why it's important daily to tap in. Not even if you just doing video, but reading, prayer, reflection. Reflection is heavy. Being around the brothers. Fellowship is a way of scribing for the masters, because we're learning how to be amongst each other. Because it's one thing to be isolated, okay? You can research, you can study, which is good as well. But then there's a balance of fellowship, because now we get to apply the things that we read. We get to apply this wisdom being around other men, all right, that believe. Then we get to pick up all these different perspectives, all right, from other men that's in the same fight. Okay, to help us strive in our personal, battles in the spirit. Okay, so we're running, a race in the spirit. You see, and in order to obtain that prize, man, we have to strive, in Yahweh Shai, man. We have to strive to be like Yahweh Shai. Okay, matter of fact, let's get this word on. Yep, so you go into this word on adversaries.
G75. Agonizamai.
Agonizamai. It says to, metaphorically, it says to contend, to struggle with difficulties and dangers, to endeavor with strenuous zeal, to strive to obtain something, man. And this is an everyday fight against that old man, and that we're scribing in Yahweh Shai, we're cleaving to Yahweh Shai, it gets, we begin to pull away from that old man. We begin to dominate the race the more we conform to Yahweh Shai, man. If we have everything we need to conform to our power, and it's a thing of constant discipline. It's a thing of restraint. It's a thing of being consistent in the labors. It's a thing of being consistent in fellowship. It's something that we can't sleep on, is being consistent in fellowship. Every brother, circumstance is different, man. But hey, that's why so we gotta sacrifice, to be available for the brothers at times, man. Because it's a powerful thing. Being around the brothers is a powerful thing. And so we all in different circumstances, but being around the brothers is a powerful thing, man, in this fight, man. And it helps us strive, man. Brothers You know, man, you got a few brothers in the room, man. You can feel the healing. You know, you can feel the healing. You know, amongst brothers, man. You see. So going back here, and Satan is always resisting. You know, Satan is always tempting. You know, and it's dangerous to be isolated. So part of scribing also, okay, being amongst the body, that's a beautiful thing. You know. So you go here, it says, verse 26, it says, I therefore so run, not as uncertainty. Well, it's like, let's jump 25. It says, and every man describeth for the mastery is temporary in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible, man. And you look at how tedious, you know, these athletes are when it comes to them getting ready to compete. Well, we have to have that same intensity, man, in the spirit. You see? We have to have that same intensity, man. That's why even coming to these bodies, man, hey, we got to take care of these bodies because these bodies house these spirits. And we know these bodies are going to, we're going to shed these bodies at the returning of Yahweh Shai. But that doesn't give us the green light to neglect the body. You know, we got to train our physical body, okay, to be able to, to allow the spirit, you know, because if you're always, you know, low energy, sleepy, you foggy, you don't have clarity, you know. You see, we want to maximize in the spirit, man. Okay, now we don't have to train as Spartans, okay, Navy SEALs, okay, but we take care of our bodies, okay, for the sake of performing in the truth, man. Okay, that plays a part in it. These niggas go all out for a corruptible crown. Okay, because who can off top just name the last 10 teams to win the Super Bowl? Who just name them like that? Just ask, you know, very few people. But look at the training these niggas go through to, you know. You don't remember every fight. You know, you can't name off all 50 of Mayweather opponents. Okay? But look at the tedious training these niggas go through. Okay? To be 50 and over, to be this and that. And, you know, it's a tedious training, but it's an incorruptible because it's vain. I mean, it's corruptible because it's vain. You see? We're striving for something incorruptible. The crown that we're getting is going to change the world forever. The authority that Yahweh Shai is going to give to his men, it's going to change the world forever. It's going to be incorruptible. Okay? You see, we're going to have incorruptible crowns, man. It's going to be a meaning. Or a million years later in the kingdom, man, people are going to still be reaping the benefits of, all right, Yahweh Shai, okay, and the elect. Okay? For overcoming wickedness, man. Overcoming the flesh, you see, and that's gonna be an incorruptible crown, man, because that victory is gonna be felt forever, man. You see, so when you go into scribing for the mastery, okay, all right, it says scribing for the mastery is a process. All right, process-oriented mindset, focus on continuous improvement. All right, eternal motivation and discipline, commitment to excel in the field. So let's read this again. Striving for mastery is a process-oriented mindset, focus on continuous improvement, man. This truth is about continuous improvement, man. Getting a little better every day. Get a little better every day, man. You know, it's a lesson within itself. Get a little better every day. Continuous improvement. We should never be stagnant. We should never plateau in the truth, man. We should always be on the incline, striving for the masteries, man. Because there's always something to improve, man. Okay, there's always something to improve in the spirit, man. Because we're striving for the masteries, man. So we're constantly improving daily, man. The continual growth, man. Okay? It says a process-oriented mindset, focus on continuous improvement, internal motivation, and disciplined commitment to excel in the field rather than just achieving a single goal. Okay? So we're sincerely here to get better in righteousness, man. We're becoming righteous judges, man. You know, we should want to become better brothers, better teachers, better leaders, better listeners and followers. Okay? Of course, because it's a rank within the camp, man. So some brothers, lead brothers, but because everyone is a leader and a follower in the same capacity, man. So we gotta excel in both. You know, brothers have their capacity to lead, and then there's a time when brothers, all right, are following, man. And we have to improve in both. Like I say, improve in being the brother. You can we haven't perfected being the brother. We're learning. We're fresh out of Babylon, man. Okay, we're learning how to be brothers according to the scriptures, man. You see how to judge according to the scriptures, man. We're learning. Mistakes gonna get made, and on the way, that's another thing. You can't, because one thing that'll hinder growth is the fear of making mistakes. Now, of course, you don't want to wild out, all right, and just go way left, man. But in trying to achieve righteousness, man, there's gonna be mistakes made, and you learn from the mistakes. As long as it's not nothing malicious or intentional, okay, you just sincerely trying to do the right thing, and it could be off. It could have been done better. You learn from that, man. This is the scribing. This is what it looks like to scribe, man. Mistakes gonna get made while scribing, but then it's about, okay, hey, Salakia, all right, now let's make the improvement. This, communicate. Look, this is what I was on. I could have did this better. I was wrong for that. Boom. All right, let's move. Let's get better. Okay, that's what scribing looks like, man. Okay, trial and error, but it's in righteousness, always with a righteous intent. Okay, and it says, the drive comes from a genuine desire to learn and grow, not from external, all right, rewards. Okay, because it's not just because we're going to get rewarded, that we're doing this, man. It's because we sincerely want righteousness to be established in the earth. It becomes a point as we mature, man, not just because the Lord is going to reward us for so much, but the sake of us growing into righteousness, man. It's for righteousness' sake. It's time for righteousness to be enforced in the earth, man. Okay? And the Lord, now we're understanding the sons of God, the responsibility that comes with it. We call ourselves Yasha Allah, the sons of God. Now we're understanding the responsibility that comes with it. Now we have the mindset of King Solomon, I just want to judge my people in righteousness. Anyway, he prayed for wisdom. So we tap into wisdom, okay, as we're striving to be what those righteous judges, man. Okay? It says discipline and temperance. As referenced in 1 Corinthians 9:25 and 27, mastery requires self-control, discipline, and beating the body into subjection to avoid being a castaway. Okay? To avoid being a castaway. You see? And it says to avoid complacency, it is crucial to build structured systems into your life to manage time and energy, man. And it's good to build some type of structured systems. Now, thing with having structured systems, you always want to be flexible, because you don't want to lock yourself in to where, it can work against you, okay? But it's good to have, structural, spiritual systems, okay? Spiritual regiments, you see? That's why you see a lot of brothers, they have their routine in the spirit. Each brother has their certain routine. You can almost set your clock to it. You see, brothers got their certain routines in the spirit. And like I say, there's always room for flex. You always want to flex. Okay? So, having spiritual structure and systems, okay, is a way to strive. You know, like these athletes, they have set workouts, set food prep, certain this, certain sleep. Like they go hard body, man. You know, and that's the type of discipline. How much more they do that for a goddamn NBA Finals, okay, or be an undisputed boxing champion? How much more us to be joint heirs with Yahweh Shai? You know, to we should have some type of system going, some type of structure going. Okay? And each, you know, it works. Each brother is different, you know. So each brother's structure would, you know, complement, you know, brother's lifestyle, brother's schedule, brother's, you know, it would, you know, be modified based off that. But it's good to have, you know, that spiritual structure. Okay? That's why you go here, 1 Corinthians 9:26 is out. Therefore, so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air. Okay, so we're intentional. Everyone, that's the thing. We have to be intentional, man. You know, getting better has to be intentional, man. It's not something that we're just guessing. Okay, this is not something you know, that we're just doing and going through the motion. No, we intentional, man. The moves that we make in the spirit should be intentional, man. Working towards something. You know, you're not just throwing punches out just to be throwing. Okay, nah, man, it's intentional. Like, nah, why am I doing this lesson? Why am I reading this? Why I'm looking at this video? Why? You know, it should be an intention behind it. Instead of just going through the motion, you're just putting random videos on, you know, just reading just to say you read. Nah, man, we gotta be intentional, man. You see, we gotta be intentional in this thing. And that's what scribing looks like, man. You know? So I'll leave it there, man. You know, Lord will, we all continue to strive for the masteries, man. You know, really tap into this word, you know, really apply this word. You know, a mistakes gonna get made, make the adjustments, get better, keep getting better, man. It's all about repetition, man. Repetition, man. Greatness is born in most people. That's why most people ain't great. You know, so we gotta tap into, all right, what people will consider boring and mundane, okay, and really begin to strive in this thing, man. You know, speaking to myself first and foremost. So Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. Till next time, I will say shalom.